One. Hey everybody, I'm Local 5 meteorologist Brandon Lawrence, and I'm here on weareiowa.com on our We Are Iowa Plus channel, and then I'm also right here on the We Are Iowa app for information about this incoming winter storm, and just to do a quick breakdown, a little overview for you as to what we can expect. So I'm starting with the statewide winter storm warning. Well, technically it's not fully statewide, but it's pretty close. 92 out of Iowa's 99 counties are under winter storm warnings. The purple you see up in far northern Iowa is a winter weather advisory. That means that there will be accumulating snow there, although of a lower variety. We actually saw the winter storm warning begin over western Iowa at 9 o'clock this morning. It will begin for central Iowa, including Metro Des Moines, at 3 p.m. and then we will see it continue through 6 p.m. tomorrow, and then it will begin at 6 p.m. in eastern Iowa by this evening. So that's when it will start for each area across the state. So let's go through a timeline here, and we start with this afternoon. Probably between 1 and 4 p.m. the snow will begin in central Iowa. Slick roads will start to develop. It's not going to be immediate, but it will be after a few hours of snow that we will really start to see those slicker roads. It'll be breezy during that time. Then by tonight, heavy snow is likely, difficult travel, and it will be getting windy. The overnight time frame is the most problematic. And then by tomorrow, heavy snow is likely early in the day. It'll stay windy, and then actually the wind will be picking up during the afternoon. The gusts could get as high as 40 miles per hour, and blowing snow is a possibility. Actually, at this point, it's a fairly high likelihood that we see blowing snow, and that will be especially problematic in rural areas. So here's the general call for snowfall amounts. And again, this is for the entire duration of the event. The highest totals will be down to the south and southeast. We're talking 8 to 10 inches, likely some spots that will see as much as a foot, maybe an isolated spot or two that will receive higher than 12 inches. Now, the more uncertain area is closer to the Des Moines Metro and I-80. Most of the models have honed in on the fact that we will likely see at least 7 inches of snow in central Iowa. On the very high end, there may be isolated amounts closer to 10 or 11 inches. Realistically, it'll probably fall somewhere in that zone, and then we will see higher amounts to the east of the Des Moines Metro and the northeast, and then we will see the lower amounts to the north and to the west. Some areas that are closer to 4 to 8 inches, maybe a few that are in that 5 to 9 inch range. I think everybody pretty much gets 3 to 4 for sure, and then we will see it go higher as we go farther south. Again, the highest totals are going to be south and east of the Des Moines Metro. So to kind of go through this morning we had no travel issues, but by this afternoon, that's when the snow begins. Slick spots start to develop. It's not terrible just yet. By tonight, heavy snow will be really starting and getting underway. The roads will quickly become covered, and then I think the biggest problem travel-wise will be tomorrow morning and then tomorrow afternoon. Heavy snow will continue tomorrow morning. It will become a little bit more scattered in nature, and our roads will be covered. And then in the afternoon, the snow will be ending, but it will be windy, so blowing snow is a possibility, and again, in the rural areas is pretty likely. And then it will be windy with blowing snow tomorrow night as well. We're talking wind gusts that get as high as 40 miles per hour. So by 12 o'clock today, this is what I expect the radar will look like. Mostly western and southwestern Iowa getting snow at that hour. It will still be dry, I think, for Metro Des Moines and central Iowa, but between 1 and 4 p.m., that's when central Iowa starts to get the snow. It'll actually expand and become more intense as we nudge closer to the evening commute. And some of those darker blue colors may be showing up by dinner time and into the evening hours along and south of I-80, and then it will just continue overnight. A steady, fairly heavy snow, but it will be consistent, and then we will start to see it become more scattered in nature through tomorrow morning. Again, there will still be bands of snow pushing overhead through lunchtime tomorrow, so you may not wake up to that final amount at 5 or 6 in the morning tomorrow. You may have half of it or 60% of it, and then as we go through the morning, we tack on additional snow. By dinner time tomorrow, I expect it to be pretty much out of our area and over eastern Iowa, but the strong winds will be taking over from there. Let's talk about the wind potential. Through the day today, it's breezy, gusting 20 to maybe as high as 25 miles per hour. Overnight tonight, that's when the gusts pick up. And then early tomorrow morning, gusting 35 to 45 miles per hour in some areas. And it will stay very gusty through the day. This may be a little bit higher than what we see realized, but I really do believe gusts will get as high as 40, and they may be approaching 45 miles per hour. So whiteout conditions may develop in some of our rural areas, and I would not be surprised if a few areas wind up getting upgraded to blizzard warnings tomorrow. I'm not going to say that's for certain, but it's possible given the wind and the snowfall that will be occurring. Now keep in mind too, the wind can also affect snowfall amounts. You may see drifting in your neighborhood or in your yard, and you may have one portion of the yard that receives more snow than the other portion. It's very difficult to measure snow when it's all said and done with the wind, because the final measurements may be a little bit inaccurate because of how the wind will blow it around. I do expect that by Wednesday morning, the wind will be a little bit lighter. So here's what's happening right now. As of 10:36, we've got snow in northwest Iowa right now. Those roadways are already covered. And then down to the southwest, we already have some snow beginning there. It's on the lighter side, but I have seen video from Omaha, and they've got some heavier pockets of snow moving overhead now. And that's just the beginning. The rest of Iowa, quiet, dry at the moment, but look at this big expansive storm system and all this moisture that has to come our way later on today. There is a dry slot developing in parts of Kansas, and I do think that that may impact totals a little bit in some areas of Nebraska, Missouri, Kansas, but I think we will be just far north of that, far enough north to where that dry slot doesn't factor into our forecast all that much. Now, when we are done with this one, we are not done. On Wednesday, lighter snow showers are possible again. Another big storm system comes in Thursday night into Friday, at least into the Midwest. We're not quite sure how far north or south it will go. However, early indications suggest that we will see at least some additional accumulating snow, mainly favoring central and southern areas of the state again. And that'll be on in advance of it turning really cold. By the way, Friday, Saturday do both look windy. Sunday could even be blustery. And look at the Arctic blast coming our way. High temperatures in the single digits near zero by Sunday and Monday, and then sub-zero temperatures at night, as low as 10 below in some areas, and the wind chill readings will get even lower than that. So we've got a long ways to go, and winter is really going to make itself known starting today, and then a busy, busy forecast heading into the upcoming weekend. Now, because we are on Facebook Live and we're on some other platforms, I do want to see if I can pull up the comments or questions really quick before I sign off here, just to see if there's anything that I can answer. So there was a question about Ankeny totals. I think Ankeny realistically is in that 6 to 9 inch range. Keep in mind, I'm going to go back to that snow map actually. Snow totals are one of the things that people really don't always interpret the way that we want them to. So when we say 7 to 11 inches over the Des Moines area, that doesn't mean that everybody's getting 11. Sometimes you see that bigger number and your eyes start to pop and you're like, oh, that's how much we're getting. This is a range, and that range is given because there will be areas south of the Des Moines metro, say in Norwalk or maybe down near Carlisle, which we would factor into that metro forecast, that could get higher amounts than maybe Ankeny or Polk City. Those may be slightly lower totals, but keep in mind, At this point, it's not so much about how much you get, even though that's what everybody focuses on. The impacts are going to be the same no matter where you are. We will have heavy snow. It will be a wet and heavy snow, by the way. I don't think I've said that really on this live stream, but it will be wetter and heavier until it turns a little bit fluffier tomorrow morning. And that's why I think we may tick up on the amounts a little bit. Is that as we see the temperature drop off or level off a little bit, our snowfall ratio may go up a little bit during the morning hours tomorrow, and that would mean that it would accumulate at a more quick rate. We would see a little bit of that accumulation. So not so much that it would accumulate at a quicker rate, but with a higher snowfall ratio, we likely would see, for less water, a higher amount of snow content. So that's just what we have to factor in. There are so many things that go into a snowfall forecast, and I know it's so easy to just look at this map and say, oh, I'm going to get 13 inches, and that may not necessarily be the case. We give a range for a reason because snow doesn't fall evenly everywhere, and again, with the wind, it will be tough to measure precisely. So one more quick time, I will go through the plan here, the timeline. This afternoon, snow begins, slick roads develop, and it will be breezy. If you live north and east of Des Moines, let's say Ames, Marshalltown, your snow probably won't start till almost dinner time. So this is all kind of the preparation or the lead up. Tonight, heavy snow, difficult travel is likely, and it will be getting windy. And then again, tomorrow, heavy snow early in the day. Slowly, the rate of snowfall will taper off, and it will be windy with gusts around 40 to maybe as high as 45 miles per hour. And blowing snow is a threat tomorrow, especially in rural areas. I would not be surprised if a few spots wind up with whiteout conditions, especially on some of the smaller highways that are not plowed as well. So just please be careful. I can't stress that enough. I will say it until I'm blue in the face. Slow down. If you don't absolutely have to go somewhere, I get it. Some of us do. If you don't have to, stay home. Opt to do that. If you do have to go out, give yourself plenty of extra time. Make sure there is plenty of distance in between you and the vehicle in front of you. Make sure that you've got supplies in your car. I know we are Iowans and we deal with this all the time in the winter months, but we see stalled vehicles, car crashes, vehicles in ditches every single year. Make sure that you've got a blanket in your car, that your gas tank is filled. If you are low, maybe you're below a quarter of a tank, I would go fill it before the snow begins today. Make sure that you are just prepared for the conditions, that you've got your snow brush and your shovel handy. Maybe even keep a snack in your car, just in case you do get stuck and you have to wait on somebody for a while to come help you out. So that being said, we are going to be here to keep you and your family up to date, safe with this storm. It is possible that my map, and I'll fully acknowledge this, is not perfect. I will say that with every winter storm, somebody is going to get a snowfall total that does not match these ranges. It's almost impossible to nail precisely. The impacts will be there. We know that it's going to be a heavy, wet snow initially, and then again it becomes a little bit fluffier tomorrow. And with the wind blowing the snow around tomorrow, that may make it difficult to reach some of these higher numbers, or it may make drifts a bigger problem, and therefore measurements are going to be very unequal. So what you see close to your house, the way the wind is blowing may be higher than what you see in the middle of your yard. So that being said, we are going to take a break from our live stream. Later in the day, we may have more live stream coverage here at weareiowa.com and on We Are Iowa Plus. And then we will be on Local 5 News midday, which begins in about 16 minutes at 11 a.m. Then we will be on at 5, 6, 9, and 10 tonight. And then I'll be right back here with you tomorrow morning. I hope to see you in a few minutes at 11 a.m. If not, be sure to stay tuned to Local 5 and We Are Iowa later on tonight.